Peace. So check this out. I always go look at the analytics, and sometimes I go back and look at the old shows, and I see that I'm getting a lot of views, but y'all not hitting the like button. Y'all not subscribing. Listen, I'm trying to get the channel to 500, at least to 500, so we can kind of take this thing to a new level. So if you enjoy the content that I'm putting out, please like, share, subscribe, and tell a problem solver to come on in. This is the place where we bring it sexy back to the everyday hardworking men and women who impact your life within close proximity. We want to rise above this madness, which is called Black culture. Also, too, I want to thank a lot of people who have been supporting the book. It is, I always put the link down in the chat, in the comment section. You know, for those who have purchased the book, you know, a nice review of how you felt about the book, whether you criticize it, whether you agree with things in the book or not. But I want to thank all those who have been a loyal supporter and those who have really been following me on this journey. I'm all about self-improvement for Black men and just men in general, for us to be the best men so we can be the best fathers, to self-improve and to be able to accomplish things that we need to do. And I know sometimes when people get the book, they say, well, the book is not big, it's not long. Listen, the one thing that I've learned, especially in business, especially when I'm being trained, you know, and when I was doing real estate, you know, I used to go to these classes and I used to be a part of these real estate groups, and people will spend 30 minutes talking about, well, you know, I used to be working a 9-to-5 job and me and my wife were struggling with bills and we didn't know where to go. We always lost our house. And like, listen, I'm not going to get up here and just tell you everything about my life. It doesn't matter. You shouldn't even care. All people want is the information. And I tell people all the time, when I train, I'm getting straight to the information. People don't care to know about me or my life. Now, in this particular installment, I did kind of give people a background, a backstory about who I am, how I was raised, you know, a lot of my early childhood influences and the things that I sufficed. So therefore, they will understand a lot of the suggestions and the tips that I offer in this first book that I published. And I'm proud of myself. You know, I'm really proud of myself. This book was supposed to have been written years ago, but as a man, I constantly evolve. So I just get straight to it. And I always tell people my word is not the end all be all, but these are the suggestions and things that work for me. And by no means, let me understand, disclaimer, I'm not the perfect father, right? But I put things in this particular publication that I think would, for a lot of Black people to benefit. And sometimes I know there's a lot of, to all the ladies, the female supporters, thank you. They're buying the book for their sons, their nephews, and, you know, their husbands. So I thank you all for that support as well, too. Basically, just want to get into the spiel about how to handle entitled family members. Last night, the Kansas City Chiefs came to town, and I had family to go and visit. Well, excuse me, I had family to attend the game, which everybody knows. If you follow my cousin Jamal on Facebook, he is a Kansas City Chief fanatic. And every time the Chiefs win, whoever came for that smoke, he bringing it to you. Shout out to my cousin Jamal. But, you know, when you have a family member that's in the league, and all of us know somebody that's a professional sports, all of us know somebody that is in entertainment, right? So there's no need to clout chase and say, oh, that's my cousin, that's my sister. Listen, all of us know somebody that plays professional sports. But the way sometimes people act out against family members is sometimes rather kind of ludicrous and insane to me, especially in a public setting. And then a lot of times when there is a successful member in the family, people always want to revert back to when they knew you before, who you became, what you are, or what the world knows you as today. And that right there is a clear telltale sign of just how deep their love goes for you. There's always a lot of hate and animosity. It's been sitting dormant all these years. But when people make it, the family puts so much pressure on these young athletes, on these young people who are successful. It doesn't even have to be a professional athlete or somebody with notoriety. It could be somebody just doing good in life. That's why I sometimes tell people, stop bragging about you got the bag and chasing the bag, because when you got the bag, the whole family want a part of that bag too. But it's just the way that people will carry on and talk about you, run you in the dirt like a dog because you ain't paying their bills, you ain't bought them a new car, you ain't buying them a house, you ain't sending money back as they think that you're supposed to. But I think Rick Ross said it. You wasn't in the gym when I was working out or shooting up. When I was talking about Kobe Bryant, I think he referred to Kobe Bryant working out or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Just how a lot of these athletes get caught up when women don't bring no value to their life, and all of a sudden they get taken to court and lose everything they got when you didn't put in none of this hard work to get these multi-million-dollar contracts. But that's another conversation. But I've seen this time and time again. I've seen countless YouTube videos where athletes are going there and say, hey, I had to distance myself from family because they became a burden. If I'd have kept looking out for my family, I would have been broke. And family members really don't come around until they need something, but they ain't never really came around to check on this, see how you was doing. Are you okay? You know, how's your mental health? Even throughout the years, you might have had family members that support you, but a lot of them don't. But if some strange reason, when you make it, everybody's cousins, everybody's uncle, everybody's this, that, and the third. And then people will also take to social media just to drag you out and tell people who you was before who you came, what you became, right? Which is always ugly, but it's always the family members who feel entitled. Me and my son had a conversation one time. We had two emotional conversations. The first time when he tore his PCL when he was at Western Carolina. The second time he called me and he was like, you know what, Dad, I don't want to take a pro day. I don't want to go pro. I told him, man, I'm good with that. I'm fine with that because, see, a lot of times, even going back to youth sports, the glory of our children, it should be about them. It shouldn't be about us. But a lot of parents who have child that plays sports or whether they're in entertainment, the glory really is about them. And they feel like this child came from their loins, came from their mother. You know, that's my baby, blase, blase. But really, that glory is not for the child. That glory is really for you. And my son told me, he always tells me how much he appreciates me, you know, the things that I've done for him, you know, the sacrifices that he saw me make. And if he made it, the things that he would do for me. And I replied to him, you don't owe me nothing. But I do expect you to take care of your siblings. Now, I am serious about that. I've lived my life. My dreams are the dreams for your dreams to come true. You don't owe me nothing. You don't owe me no house. You don't owe me no car or anything like that. You know, if he did decide to go pro, you know, a couple tickets to the game. Of course, I'm a Steelers fan for life. Go Steel Curtain. You know, we 3-0. Go Justin Fields. Everybody will be dogging him out. But I told my son, he don't owe me nothing. And I see a lot of athletes have to distance themselves because, you know, people feel like you owe them something. Moms stop talking to their sons. Fathers stop talking to their sons. Because they feel like, you know, they put a lot of pressure on that kid. Hey, you got to do this for me. I did that. There's a lot of parents who feel like their kid owed them something if they make it. But you got to really question yourself about, is that truly a value and a love that you have for your child? Now, I know that, you know, parents say, hey, I spent all these years investing money into my athlete, investing money into this child. They owe me something. And some people can't take that approach. I don't think I've ever taken that approach. I did things and invested in my children because it was a joy for me to see them be successful and have fun. Is something that they love to do. But I never really set my sights on them going pro. And if they did, fine. No big deal. Or I could give you another situation. When I first got custody of my oldest daughter, right? I always tell my daughters, you know, my daughter about her mother, like, I don't ever have a beef with your mother. I think your mother made a wise decision because when I found out that she was kind of like in a very risky situation, you know, the living habits wasn't up to par. And this is not a judgment against her mother. I just simply ask her, hey, look, I just want my daughter. I will never come for you for child support. I will never put you in the system because anybody knows me. I am anti-system when it comes to the family situation, right? And so she awarded over guardianship to me. And eventually I had to award it over to my parents because I myself as a young man was unstable. And I'm always be grateful for my parents for everything that they poured, the finances, everything that they did for my daughter. So I don't want nobody to get it twisted. My parents were the main core. However, as my daughter grew up, nobody on her mother's side except her aunt, Regina, that I recall, and I think she's passed, right? Nobody showed my daughter no love. They didn't come visit her on birthdays. They didn't come to school plays. They didn't come to watch her do gymnastics. And I missed a lot of things with gymnastics myself because I was in Georgia at the time trying to establish my life. So let's just keep that clear. But there was a lot of things that I refused to miss. And I didn't move to Georgia until my kids come of age because I didn't want to be a stranger. But I do recall at least I made a 16-hour trip just to watch my daughter perform in a 1-hour play. Now people be like, that's a lot. That's not extreme because it's a value and a love that I have for my daughter. But my daughter has risen to the top. As they say, cream always rises to the top. My daughter now has a son. I have a grandson, and I'm proud of my daughter. And she has accomplished so much. But throughout all these years, we had to have these uncomfortable conversations. Why didn't her mama feel like she was good enough to keep her? Why wasn't she good enough for her mother to raise? And I had to explain some things to her to give her context. And that I was kind of insensitive at the time, but we needed to move on so we can make your life great. So you could be what, you know, you didn't want to become like your mother. And even with my boys and my children, I always want my sons to be better than me and accomplish more than what I did in my life. However, now that she's a grown-ass woman and she's doing good, I can specifically call her. We're going back again to social media. These people were all on her social media page talking crazy. And I said, Keita, who are these people? And they came back and shot back at me and blase. And who are you? Punk motherfucker, I'm her father. Who are you? I don't know you. I've never seen you. But now, because my daughter has her life established, her brother expected her to take on his burdens, move his family in where she lived. She couldn't do it. He got upset. Her sister, her very own sister, feels a certain type of way because my daughter refuses to do things for her. Listen, people in life make decisions. I apologize if they came up in a challenge situation that ain't got nothing to do with us. But at the same time, things could have been quite quelled and eased had there been a relationship throughout the years, had there been some type of communication throughout the years. And I can even relate this back to the entitled family members of athletes, how the father was never there, but all of a sudden he pops up and he wants to check. Oh, that's my boy, but you wasn't there. The mama paid all those AAU fees. The mama had to work overtime to pay for those trips that they had to take. The mama had to pay people to take people to the child or maintain the bills, right? These are why these athletes are so affectionate and passionate about the mom or the parent that was there, right? But these people felt entitled that my daughter had to reach out to them, to speak to them, to make bonds and create bridges with them. And I told my daughter, I'll be damned. Now, this wasn't a thing about hate or anger. I don't hate those people. I don't even know those people. Do you understand? But it's the entitlement that these people felt towards my daughter and what they expected her to do. Here's the thing. Your family members, the one who value the most, are the ones that you had the greatest times when you had nothing. Those who supported you when the world didn't even know you. Those who supported you before you got your degree. Those who knew you before you got a car, a house, before you moved on and became accomplished. Those family members that checked up on you, they called you, they didn't text you. And you can always call them and they pick up the phone. These are the people that truly love you. And 9 times out of 10, people who get to of a certain status will always remember that. I tell women all the time, don't go to a man making demands. And y'all know I don't talk about love and relationships. I don't deal with it, right? But if a man really likes you, and I tell women this all the time, you don't have to make no demands. He's going to do it anyway. It's the same thing when a person of status that makes or achieves a great amount of success and finances or an economic status, that they're going to always reflect back on the people who was there. And check this out. A lot of times it ain't family. It could be a close friend in the neighborhood. Look at all these top guys. Look at all these people, these multimillionaires. No matter what genre, what industry, or however they manage to become rich, they always got a close friend or a relative in their camp, in their circle. So the moral of the story is, if you're going to be genuine about being valuable or valuing those that you love, that you call family members, it is a culture that must ensue. It is a culture that must be action. Love is an action, right? People must feel these things. You know, I remember, when you done your cousins, both y'all hungry, we got $5, but we spent $5 to get a box of shrimp fried rice, and we would split it. We would tear off the edges and eat the rice. You remember those things like when you get older. And I always told my children, when you get older, y'all gonna need one another in this world. I saw the example with my grandfather and Uncle Doc. I saw the example with my father and his brothers. So there's going to be times where you're going to have to give your brothers or your sisters' kids clothes. There's going to be times where, you might have to go shop and get them groceries. Nowadays, you can just Cash App or send Zelle, but there's going to be times you all are going to need each other. This is how family is supposed to interact. This is not linked, because I always tell people this. Family is of the mind. And when family is of the mind, there's a culture. There's a way that you perceive and you carry on with yourself. Relatives are by blood. And it don't qualify action. It don't qualify true love. You're just a relative. They can relate because genetically, by DNA, you all are relatable. You're linked. But family is always in the mind. That's why you're going to always have a friend that's always closer than a brother or a sister. Because I know plenty of family members that grew up in the same house. It could be 9, 10, 11 of them, and they don't even speak and don't even like each other. And they all grew up in the same house. But again, the way you deal with family members who feel entitled, you distance yourself from them. You don't owe them nothing, especially the ones who wasn't there in your corner. But now, I know for myself, had I ever became a multi-million-dollar athlete, for what my mother and father did for me, then it's me talking. I give them the world. And people that know me, and a lot of times I went broke doing things for other people. And I wasn't forced to do it. It's just in my heart to do it. If all my children and my family members, and if I had it like that, were happy, I don't give a damn. I could live in a 1-bedroom apartment in a truck. If I got it in me, where they could live in houses and live like kings and queens, because that's the kind of heart that I have. I'm not saying I would necessarily live in a 1-bedroom. I'm gonna give me a house, but what I'm saying is, it's just a culture of family. But the way I would deal with it is complete distance, show love, and show grace. It is not your responsibility to take on the financial burdens and duties of the whole family. I know how it goes. Sometimes somebody in the family passed, they call you to bury somebody. Somebody went through something tragically when you've been telling them the whole time they need to get insurance, never got insurance, but they think that you're the insurance policy. Their house burned down, expect you to buy them another one. Or they expect this recurring payment to be sent. But it doesn't work like that. Distance yourself. Block who you have to block on social media. Because at the end of the day, you've achieved that success on your own. Now, we always know there's a support system, and nobody gets nowhere in life by themselves. But you're not obligated to anybody or anyone. But now I do think there is a culture that if you have it in your heart and you remember those who were there for you, what's the problem with shooting some out or taking care of your mother or your grandmother or your grandfather or your father or your siblings? I'm a firm believer because I believe, I want to give a shout out to the brother Rob Love. He always spoke life over my children. Always spoke great of my children. He said that you're going to have one son in the music industry and one in professional sports, and the world won't even know they brothers. And right now, his words are damn near manifesting. I think my son needs to go back and try. The league is horrible with cornerbacks. My son can get a contract. He needs to. But I see wealth coming in all my children's future. I have a daughter who just released her first album project. She's getting close to getting to a national status. My son is out in Cali. He's doing some great things. And I have a daughter who's a coach, but I see them all doing great things. My daughter, Chelsea, she has her own, business of making clothes and certain foods of a certain culture. My son Snoop is boxing now. He's a producer that people know him by High Disco on IG. They're all doing good things. But my children don't owe me nothing. But I do expect them to look out and take care of each other. And it's also for those of us who have entitled family members that come for our children, it is our responsibility to protect them. I want to say something so serious, but I don't want no wars between the family. But I just honor my father for protecting my mother. And I'm going to do the same. Lastly, I want to get out of here. I want to say something. I think I'm starting to notice that I don't like people with egos. And it makes me check myself to make sure we all got egos. We all think highly of ourselves. But there's a thin line between confidence and being egotistical. I was on Fanbase today. And there was a room opened up by a young lady who said, there's 100 days before the end of the year. And we're going to squash all these beefs. So I opened up this room that if you got a beef with somebody, we want y'all to talk it out, squash it, move on. And let's all try to help promote each other's business, support each other's brand, whatever we got going on, and move forward. And it's 100 days of discipline to change your life and changing your habits. She didn't make it 21 to 30 days. She said 100. So there was one guy who said he wanted to talk to another young lady. Now, this guy said he was a preacher's kid. This other individual is one who claims that she's one with Christ. That's what she says. And I've heard this young lady talk before, and she's into robotics, highly intelligent. I was going to reach out to her because I think our children need to learn tech. But I noticed there was no humility, no humbleness, no meekness, no nothing. Just, and I get this with a lot of black Christians. There's this air like, because I'm a Christian, you got to kiss my ass. And if I do wrong, well, God know my heart. But if you do something, and I was watching an interview with Cam, and I'm not trying to be all over the place, but I don't read no teleprompter, so this come from my head. He had Pastor Keon Henderson on there, and I really highly admire that brother. But he said something: people are only outraged about the sins they never commit. Bars. But not to judge the young lady, but I just heard arrogance, ego. The brother apologized, said he just want to squash it. He told her, hey, this is how you made me feel. I didn't appreciate that. She responds, I don't have to answer to you. I don't have to do it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm out. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something to you. If you have an ego, if you have an inflated ego, you're a clown. You're a clown. You know why? Because whatever you obtain and what you know, you didn't learn it on your own. Somebody had to teach you this. And if you have amassed a certain amount of money or success, you didn't print that money. You had to do something to earn it. Whether it was a genetic context to it, or whether it was scholarly, you had to earn it. You don't print your own money. I don't give a damn how healthy you are and how healthy you eat. You can't stop whatever could take place with you health-wise tomorrow. And I say this all the time. Nobody is bigger than life. Stop thinking you are bigger than life. Don't nobody. Social media and people talk about this all the time. Everything is positive. Everything in the universe is needed. Things can be used for constructive, and things can also be used for non-constructive purpose. Social media is toxic as hell. I don't follow no IG models. I don't follow no hood ghetto pages, but I keep getting this algorithm, and it's crazy to me how people think they somebody because of the way that they look. And I know social media pays and cuts checks for people to be a complete fool, clown, or to sexualize whatever they're trying to do if it ain't themselves. And people get egos off of this stuff. Or because some people think they have a certain amount of knowledge. And nearly full of, according to the code, that's one of the 6 major show-offs with black people. Showing off what I know. And none of us know anything. And I'm going to tell you something. And this is why when it comes to black people, all the inflated egos I see makes you look like a clown. I'm going to tell you why. Because in 2024, we're all still trying to figure out how these white folks are mastering us. We're all trying to figure out life. And the number one context, the number one conversation is going to always go back to racism. It's going to always go back to how we've been dealt with in this system, and we ain't figured out how to overcome it. So how the hell are you walking around with an ego thinking you all that? You a nigga in a system that you ain't figured out how to solve yet. You want to impress me? You figure out how to crack the code to produce a system of justice as opposed to a system of racism and white supremacy. Now that there is one Negro that can have a hell of an ego. And my master teachers, they never had egos. None of my master teachers, they never taught in aggression. They never taught in anger. And this is something I had to learn. I used to wonder why, I used to read all these books. And I ain't saying nothing to nobody else that I can't tell myself, because I ain't gonna lie, boy, I look back and be like, now I understand why people didn't receive a lot of my messages and stuff that I was saying. It was my delivery. It was my aggression. It was my tone. It was my ego. But I've learned I want to be egoless. We all got a little bit of an ego. Like when I play sports, I got a little bit of ego. You know what I'm saying? When I do certain things, you got to have a little bit of an ego, right? Like all of our greatest athletes and the people we love so much, they had to have an ego, right? But I've learned to put it in check. When I enter a conversation, I'm going to ask questions more than I make statements because I want to learn. And I know that I'm stupid enough to know that I don't know nothing. Only a smart man knows that. You will never hear me walking around like I know everything. I'm not a know-it-all Negro. That's why I tell people all the time, and I adapted this from Nearly Fuller Jr. People be like, what's up? I'm still learning because I'm serious. I'm still learning every single day. This is the place where we're bringing sexy back to the everyday hardworking men and women who impact your life within close proximity. We want to rise above this culture, this madness, which is called black culture. Hey, I want to see you be great. Brothers, I want to see y'all self-improve. You can click down on the link, Empowering the Perfect You, self-improvement tips for black men in the era of rejected masculinity. The biggest mistake that you can make in life is to think that you have time. Until next time, continue to improve and continue to be great. And look, it's not too late for y'all to jump on board. Come on, jump on board. Falcons, y'all, listen, I live in Atlanta. I be trying to rock with y'all. Damn it. I need y'all to start winning. You know what I'm saying? I live here and I want to see the home team win. Now, y'all ain't the Steelers, but Falcons, damn, come on now. I think y'all got something. And y'all better start putting Penix in that backfield. You heard, I've been saying this forever. Y'all say I be capped. A lot of stuff I said over the last couple of years, everybody like, that's cap, Reg, you just be talking. Man, all that stuff came to fruition. I'm going to say one last thing. This is going to shock a lot of people. Damn, it's 23 minutes. I try to keep this shit at 15. I don't want to be long-winded. I promise y'all. My dad said, man, come off that bullshit. That white girl, Caitlin Clark, good. All right, Dad. All right. I'm going to give Caitlin Clark her flowers. You know what? I still say it's a lot of narrative involved, but Caitlin Clark, okay, yeah, she can ball. I love y'all, man. I value you enough to love you the right way. I'll catch y'all the next time.